Hey everyone, welcome back to Love and Golf, a podcast about our romantic, passionate, and sometimes twisted love affair with the game and the valuable lessons it gives us and what we give back to it. My next guest, I'm actually excited for this one, guys. My next guest is well known in the golf community. You probably know her from social media. Alissa is a very popular golf media personality and TV event host. If I were to tell you she was the host or she is the host of San Diego's Farmers Insurance Open, you'd believe me. If I were to tell you she was a collegiate soccer player, likely you'd also believe me. What if I were to tell you just 4 years ago she was a high school teacher who had no interest in playing golf? You probably wouldn't believe me. Alissa, aka New Lady Golfer, has quite the success story. How a former high school teacher makes a bold move across the country, has no idea what she's doing, in her words, picks up a golf club, and now works in golf media. That's the funny thing about golf and our relationship with it. Like many relationships, just showing up and committing to it yields a lot of magic. We likely can't see the magic, the learning lessons, and the fortune that lies ahead. So it often makes it hard to make that just bold, blind leap of faith. Alissa is a total badass. I respect her, and she's well respected in the golf community. I'm excited to dive into this very inspirational story and see what kind of key takeaways we all can have from this conversation and apply to our lives. So, without further ado, Alissa, my dear, welcome to Love and Golf, and thank you for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you for that just amazing introduction there. I loved it. I'm so happy to be here and thanks for having me.
You know what's cool? It's actually I think I have more fun. I'm gonna have fun with this conversation, but I think I have more fun like doing the research and the background studying of to make those intros than I do here. But I don't want to steal the mic because I've listened to some of my podcasts and I get so excited to talk to my guests. I feel like I just ramble sometimes. So there's so many ways we can start this, go girl. I, I personally, if okay with you, I'd love for you to dive into that story of how you found golf because we've talked about it. I don't think a lot of people know. I mean, they obviously follow you on Instagram and they know your current quest to break 80, which you've completed successfully. Amazing in 4 years. People are actually probably really jealous about that too. But how did you find the game? What does it mean to you? And just riff on that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael. You just cut out as you were asking the question.
Okay, let's try that again. I can actually edit this out too for us. Are we both
Sorry.
on okay Wi-Fi? It's okay. No, girl, it's fine. There you are. All right, I'm gonna try that again. So let's
I've lost
go
your
three.
picture. I don't know if that matters.
No, that probably doesn't matter. Are you on good Wi-Fi though?
Yeah, should be great.
Okay. No, if my picture cuts out, that's fine. As long as you can hear me, okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll pick it up in this one. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation, and we can start in a lot of different places. But I think the most powerful one is how you first found golf, because as someone who didn't have any interest in playing, how did you find it? How did that relationship first form?
So I am originally from the East Coast. I grew up in New Jersey, right smack in the middle of the state in a town called East Brunswick, and I grew up playing soccer my entire life. So I do have an athletic background. About 4.5 years ago, I moved across the country to San Diego for my relationship, and my boyfriend loves to play golf. So I made the move, and I had left my teaching job. I was a high school teacher in New Jersey for 10 years, and I kind of came out to San Diego on the non-planned plan. I didn't really know what I was going to do next. And it was in the summertime. So as a teacher, I was used to having summers off. He loves to play golf. I'm like, I want to learn because I want to be able to play with you. We're here in San Diego. It's such an active outdoor lifestyle here, and a lot of people like to play golf. So I wanted to learn to be able to play with him here. And then on our travels, I think it's a really fun and active thing to do on vacation. And so I
Hmm.
wanted to learn to be able to do that. So started taking lessons right away. Um, Pretty much every morning. I found this range near my apartment that did like small group classes. It was think like a gym membership. You paid one monthly price, and then you could go to they had classes every morning, and basically got a crash course in golf. They taught like full swing, chipping, bunkers, putting. They even gave you some etiquette. They taught you the rules. So I got like this really immersive crash course in golf right at the beginning. So that's what helped get me really excited about learning. And then shortly after that, I started my Instagram account, hence the name New Lady Golfer, because I was brand new. And now here we are 4.5 years later, and I can't believe I mean, I never thought there were days where I thought I would never break 80, and then I can't believe that it happened, and it's just like was such a major accomplishment for me thus far.
But Alyssa, do you ever like pinch yourself, like to just take a moment and stop and be like, oh my God, like I cannot believe how my life just unfolded.
Yeah, and I was really lucky to have a lot of great support in my relationship with the move and stuff, and kind of him
Hmm.
giving me that time and space to figure out what I wanted to do next. And in not having the plan, I was kind of able to let things unfold the way that they have today. So that was really great. And
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, I've gotten to play. First of all, I've met some incredible people. I've made new friendships. I've strengthened previous relationships because of the game of golf. I have a whole new career. I work with an amazing agency, Digital Golf Collective, with some of, in my opinion, some of the best other like creators that are out there, especially in the golf space. And
Oh
I've
yeah.
played bucket list golf courses that people dream about getting on their entire life in a short amount of time. So I take nothing for granted, and I do pinch myself every day.
So when you moved across the country for the relationship and like the new beginnings, there wasn't pressure on you to fall into teaching again. Like you had enough time and space to kind of reassess the career path, if you will.
Yeah, and I had explored, I mean, I had a great experience teaching. I worked at an amazing school. It was an all boys Catholic high school in Summit, New Jersey, and I had a great experience. I loved the classes I taught. The students were great. I even got to coach soccer there too with the middle school kids as well as the boys varsity team. So I had a great experience, and I was really ready to just close that chapter, appreciate it for what it was at the time in my life,
Hmm.
and really be ready and open to something new. What that was, I
Yeah.
wasn't sure, but I was ready for it.
I feel like a lot of good golfers too are former collegiate athletes in like other sports, whether it's like soccer, baseball, lacrosse, like hockey. There's a lot of just like they need that competitive juice and fire. Like I can't go, I can't live a life. I need some sort of competition somewhere. So
Yeah.
they dive into golf. Does that relate to you at all? The competition side of it?
It definitely relates to me. And what I find is in a lot of the hosting stuff I do, and we're at different
Hmm.
charity golf events, and there's a lot of former professional athletes. And I asked them about kind of the same question you just asked me. And they're like, oh man, I needed my next competitive outlet. You know, they're retired from their sport. They
Hmm.
competed at the highest level. And now where does that competitive spirit go? It's still in you. You've been in there your whole life. So similar for me, I was wanting to find another sport that I could play well into my adult life. I don't
Hmm.
really play soccer anymore. I'm not quite sure that my body would be up to handling that type of that type of activity anymore.
God, yeah.
Especially considering, like, I'm starting to get the back and the tight hips and all that stuff as a golfer now. But yeah, I mean, I just love the challenge. I love the idea of practicing and getting,
Hmm.
improving. I love achieving milestones. I like setting mini goals for myself. And I've had to sort of ease back on those because I've found that I put too much pressure on myself, and then I don't enjoy what I'm doing as much. So
Yeah.
obviously I had those bigger goals of breaking 80 and things like that, but I've learned that the easier I am on myself, the less pressure I put on myself, more fun I have, the better I play.
Quick question too, and by the way, I'm also the king of tangents. So if we just all of a sudden end up in like the atmosphere, like the just I'll hope one of us will reel us back in. But I mean, just go with it for the time being.
You got it.
Curious, did you ever have like another background in hosting or person like because you we don't know each other that well. Obviously, we follow each other on Instagram and support each other in the golf space, but you just seem so natural and collected and easy in front of the camera and on social media. Was that part of like the plan, or was that like a backup? Like, did you do childhood acting or something? Like, I don't know if that was ever part of the process.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I will say that the more I've done it, like anything, the easier that it's become. But really, just public speaking was sort of limited to in the classroom with my students. And you're seeing the same kids, and you're
Hmm.
obviously very, the information that you're teaching, you know that very well. So you get a comfort. a comfort zone.
Yeah.
But I remember where I kind of first realized that had maybe a knack for this or could really improve the media stuff was the first year I worked with the Farmers Insurance Open, and that was pretty much within the first year of making my Instagram. And I was nervous because here I am. I really, like you said, I wasn't sure what I was doing. I'm now working with a big PGA Tour event at Torrey Pines, and it was the role was sort of born out of this idea of getting the Southern California lifestyle crowd out to a golf event, trying to position it as more than just a golf tournament. So I told myself, as the sort of the role was evolving and what I would be doing, I told myself that anything they asked me to do, whether it was like photo shoot, video shoot, interview,
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff, I was just going to say yes. And I wasn't going to worry about it, not knowing what to do or getting too nervous, which I did at times. But I just said yes to everything they asked me to do. And that included doing some live TV interviews with local news stations throughout the week to talk about the event, promote the event. And I did. I actually surprised myself at how good, how well I did, not having any background because they're live TV segments. You have to be able to talk, and you can't really mess up too much. So
You guys can't see this, but I'm raising my hand. Which I need to interrupt her for a second. Like if you're listening right now, because I'm listening to you, and this is going to air probably in a couple weeks. But I'm curious. Like people have to be wondering, right? Like how does how do I even word this? Like, how do you go from moving across the country, not really playing golf, kind of getting into golf, and all of a sudden end up being a host for a one of the most well known PGA Tour stops of the season? Like, how does that happen?
see, that's the
Do you just
non-planned
were you like a
plan,
bar?
right?
Were you
That's
like a
the
bar in like
non-planned
San Diego?
plan.
Yeah, we just you're in San Diego at a bar. Like, hey guys, they're wearing golf polos. I'm gonna go talk to them.
No, so it happened through Instagram, and that's why I think social media can be
So
such an
they
amazing
found you.
tool. Yes. So the Century Club of San Diego is the nonprofit host organization of the Farmers Insurance Open. So every year they have a charitable side where it's business owners, local people here in San Diego, and it's their charitable
Hmm.
give back. And then the Century Club also has full-time employee side, and they're the ones that are really doing the the day-to-day stuff for the Farmers Insurance Open. So each year the Century Club of San Diego has a new chairman. So the chairman for 2020 found my Instagram and reached out to me via DM, and he introduced himself, said his role. At the time I had no idea what the Century Club of San Diego was, but he introduced himself and said, "I'm very interested to learn more about what you're doing. I think it's really interesting. Would you meet me for a lunch?" So it was a very professional DM.
Hmm.
But again, Instagram was new to me. I just didn't know. I didn't know what the Century Club was. Luckily, I had some good guidance. I was instructed that the Century Club runs the Farmers Insurance Open, and it might be a good idea to take the meeting. So
Hmm.
that's kind of how it started. So the Farmers Insurance Open, working with them, was also really the first big tipping point for me to help me transition from this girl on Instagram learning golf into now working in the media
Yeah.
space. So that was the first big
Yeah.
tipping point.
That's awesome. And I can't imagine. I'm sure you get so many DMs from a lot of different people, but I wanted to see what, like, are there a lot of women reaching out to you that are inspired by your just because you're really transparent with you're really new to golf and the journey. And by the way, I actually was just looking at it the other day. Your recent lesson in trying to like your backswing and clearing your hip. We're going to talk about that next. I'm not going to tangent my own tangent. So let me just
Yeah.
chill for a second. So the DM side, like, because I'm also very close with Digital Golf Collective, Sean and Jess over there, and Jess's commitment to growing the female game, and it's growing. I I'm a huge advocate for growth in general of golf through Mully, through my own platform and channel. But I'm just curious to know, like, what kind of response and feedback you get from the community.
I'm very fortunate. I get a lot of great support and feedback from both men and women. And I would say generally, I probably have more males that interact with me and engage with me. But I have a lot of women too. And I love when a lot of times
Mhm.
they reach out to me about golf fashion. I get questions on how to find more women to play with. I get questions
Mhm.
on like how to get started, what I did to get started, find like taking lessons, finding a coach, things like that. So gradually over this entire process, I've been getting more and more female following and more female engagement, which I'm thrilled about. I love that. That
Yeah.
means a lot to me. I
So
just want to
TV
be like,
time.
I want to be relatable. I want to be approachable. I want to show
Yeah,
them that, like, it's okay to really mess up. Like, golf is really hard, and men mess up, women mess up, men that have been playing for their whole lives make mistakes. Same thing, like, I'm trying to get rid of this like men versus women thing with golf,
yeah,
because I just think that it's a sport hard for anybody, and it's a very humbling game and kind of brings everybody to the same level, unless it's a professional golfer like that.
for sure.
But I
Different
mean, I've
different
watched
world.
guys who have Pro Bowl, like MVP, NFL guys who have won tons of awards, hit a ball in the water, miss a shot, shank it. Like, it just kind of brings everybody to that same level. So I'm
For
just like
sure.
trying. That's why I don't mind showing my first two golf swings ever, because I missed the ball the first swing and the second swing. It's like, it happens. What can you do? Not a big deal. It's okay.
It's true. Gosh, I mean,
Yeah.
I took up the sport at a really young age to bond with my father. And I remember I got hooked because I was probably 12, 13, 14. I loved soccer, baseball, loved it. So those are the ones I was like somewhat good at. Golf was so freaking hard. Like, I mean, and it was like the younger athlete competitive nature within me that was like, Dad, yeah, I want to spend time with you, but I am so angry at this game. I need to get good at this now. I'm going to dedicate all my hours that in my spare time, summers, nights, weekends, to doing this. And that was kind of it, how I got hooked. I'm curious, like, how did you get, like, when was like that infection point that I call it? Like, that was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Um, I don't I get moments where that comes back to me, like last, I want to say March or April, my boyfriend and I got to go play Pebble Beach, and it was through this work event. Uh, so we got to go and stay at
That
the
sucks for you. I'm
lodge and,
sorry.
and
You
go
have
and
to go.
play.
You have to play Pebble Beach. Oh, that's sorry. I'm
No,
just feeling bad for you right now. I'm playing my
no, I
violin for you.
was thrilled, but it was in that moment where I'm like, oh, this is why at the beginning, why I wanted to start, because of moments like this where he would have a work event and is excited to invite me because we're now going to play Pebble Beach together.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to think of other moments, times where I'm just out, like the night I broke 80. I wasn't filming, that hadn't taken any content that day. I was just out there playing with my boyfriend and his friend on a Friday afternoon, like just enjoying it. Why I started in the first place, to just those moments are what remind me of why I started and why I've grown to love the game. And then, I get to do a lot of fun stuff for work and travel to events and be around the best players in the world on the PGA Tour. And that's all very exciting to me. So I think in the moments where I get reminded of why I even started in the first place are my favorite moments, and remind me of my love of why my love for starting golf.
Yeah, that's beautifully said. And there was a question. I didn't want to interrupt you there. There was a question that just came to my mind, um, and I'm trying to figure out how to ask it. It's like the golf. So golf gives us so many gifts. I mean, I don't want to talk about mine because I want to make this about you. But in there's the big ones, right? Obviously, a new occupation, new career path. I would assume more time and more some in maybe intimate golf moments with your relationship and friends in a network. But how about like Alissa, the human being? And then I have a question about like what is it like to be a content creator, public figure, 24/7 in this space? Table that for a second. But
Okay.
before we get into that, like what are those gifts it's given you in your life when you take a moment and you not the obvious ones?
I think ultimately I can summarize that by saying how it's strengthened previous relationships. So I just recently had the opportunity to have lunch with my brother in New York City. I was visiting the area, and he works there, so we had lunch. And we always talk
Mhm.
about golf. We've played a couple times, but it's this constant battle. Like, you're not going to beat me next time we play. He has beaten me a couple times, but I'm talking like 3 years ago. And I'm like, you're not going to beat me the next time we play. And
Yeah.
we just have this running banter. But because of my relationships with some of my amazing brands like PXG, I'm able to get my brother set up. He's going to go get fit at a PXG in New Jersey. And I'm going to, get him set up with new clubs and have him go through the whole fitting process. So me being able to give him that experience makes me feel really good because it's something that he loves to do and he wouldn't do it for himself, but it's something that I can give him. And ultimately, it's because of my involvement with golf. So I
Yeah.
love that. That's meaningful to me. Plus, now he has no excuses when I do beat him to be like on even ground, like we're
Yeah.
playing the same
Yeah.
equipment here. um, it's things like that. And then when my parents they come out and visit me in the summertime, I take my dad out on the course with me. He doesn't play, but he loves to call himself my caddy, and he'll come out and tend the flag. And I mean, it's just those
So it's those
experiences.
moments and experiences. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I just love those. It's just the connect, like a nice connection, a nice additional thing that I would can do with people like my dad and brother, which is really nice.
What's funny is like whether you're on the camp of golf's not a sport or it's a hobby, whatever you call it, the activity of golfing, whether you're actually golfing, swinging a club or not, like time around golf, what I'm trying to say is golf almost creates time that then creates moments that are special for everyone, whether you're on a
Yeah.
golf trip, golfing with someone or talking about golf, watching golf, whatever it may be. There's just so many moments that are created in and around this relationship with it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I watched when Tiger won the 2019 Masters. And again, I had only been involved in the sport for maybe a year and a half at that point, if that. So I didn't grow up around watching Tiger and obviously seeing his impact on the game, but I can very much see it and feel it now being involved. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we woke up at like 6 a.m., watched his entire round from start to finish. And I'm not going to lie, your girl was crying when he's like hugging his son. And I'm like, what is, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
first of all, who am I and what is happening right now? But like, it's crazy. Like, I can't explain it. It's an amazing sport.
Did you ever cry playing soccer? Or so it's
Yes.
like, did you really?
I did because I pretty sure I cried my final game of college because we lost in the national championship 1-0.
Whoa.
And yeah, it ruined our I mean both teams, it was 1 versus 2, we were 2, and we were both undefeated, so it's kind of like a winner take all, like everything on the line. I was a senior, final game, we lost, so I cried.
I would cry too, though. I mean, that seems like I would actually rather get blown out, not in the national championship game my senior year. That'd be more like, okay, we're just done here. Like, just like you build
Yeah.
all. That's such a build up, that final moment.
Yeah, wanted it so bad too, but it didn't
Um,
happen.
another tangent before we get into what's it like being a full time figure in golf. What was it like being a high school teacher?
It was really fun. I had a great
Alyssa,
time.
don't bullshit the bullshitter here. Like, I'm not saying you're bullshitting. I'm saying I am though. Like what? Like I can't imagine. Sorry, guys, if you're listening to this. Like being a high school teacher must seem like the most stressful thing. I remember what it was like being a high school student myself. I just can't. Like I no. So please be real.
I am. I am. I am. It was really fun. I had great students. I taught fun subjects. Not that saying that all subjects aren't fun, but I taught health, phys ed, first aid. I
Good.
taught two
Yeah.
business electives. So the kids and it was an all boys school. They love phys ed. They can't wait to go run around and get sweat. They don't care. And so I loved that. And they were competitive and gym class was fun. And health, I love health and fitness. So that was a big part and a passion of mine. So I loved being able to share that with them. And
Hmm.
then I was actually a business major in college. So that was kind of like my wheelhouse. And the school let me write the curriculum for the two business classes that I taught. And it focused a lot on personal financial management because they don't teach that enough in schools, like really important money management skills
Hmm.
that people actually use when they're adults. And then another class focused on entrepreneurship. So I don't know if you've seen the show Shark Tank, but the
Once or
kids
twice.
would, yeah, the kids would come up with a business idea or a product. They would basically write the business plan, and it would end with, I would invite people in to come be the sharks. So I had a great time with it. I had a good experience. I worked at a great school. So I'm very happy to have had, to have done that for 10 years. Parents trust
The,
me with their kids. That's a big deal.
yeah. Did you ever miss it? And was it like to stop? Was it challenging to let that go?
I, I don't. I won't. I don't want to. I don't want to say I don't miss it, but I don't. I'm just happy to have the memory. What
Hmm.
the final day of school, when you have like your final staff meetings and you're with the entire staff, it was harder than what I thought it was going to be. Like I wasn't prepared for how
Hmm.
difficult it was going to be like, bye.
Yeah.
Mostly because up until like a few years before I moved out to San Diego, where they weren't, I don't want to say hard, but they were a little bit of a challenge. There were some challenges in my personal life going on that I needed to kind of navigate through. And this my career, or being a teacher at that school, was kind of like the one main constant in my life. So I sort of looked at it as a home, or like a place that I knew I was going to every day, where like it made me feel good or happy. So I think that's why it was so difficult, because of the last couple of years until I left, what it
Hmm.
meant to me.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, do, I know you didn't play golf then, but brings up an interesting topic that I've kind of addressed with a few of my guests and friends of mine. Uh, Golf also, we talk about, like, it creates that space and time to create memories. For me, it also created that space to get not away from my problems, but to almost not grapple with them. Golf created a space for me to maybe deal with it. I guess not emotionally, but like consciously while playing golf. So I was able to process emotions, process reality, process problems while golfing. It created like a space for me to do it versus be inundated with the feelings of it all. If you could go back in time and say you were a golfer then when you were dealing with this, would you say it would have helped this I don't want to say problem, but this time of your life? And
Um,
has golf helped you through hard times now? I don't want to get into anything personal if you don't want to, but I know
um,
that's kind of like just a common thread.
No, knowing myself now, or like me as a golfer now, it definitely would not have helped. It's a little bit of the opposite for me than for you, because golf, like when I'm playing, it causes me problems. I'm like, it causes I get myself in a lot of trouble out there, and like I'm like giving myself challenges pretty much every hole.
Yeah, yeah,
So no, I'm happy
that's
with the
fair.
timing of finding golf and what it's done for my life. Like I'm a believer in, it all works out the way it's supposed to. Timing is timing, and we can't really control that. So I think golf came into my life right at the perfect time.
That's completely fair. Great answer. So now the $1 million question: what is it like waking up every day? Is like being a golf content creator, golf event host, golf personality, golf media mogul figure. What is it? What is that? What is there pressure to that every day? And I don't know how much you can share or can't share, but what's that like?
Yes, because basically it's my kind of my brand, my business. So if I'm not working, I mean, you know how the business, it's all kind of reliant on me. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I always come back to wanting to serve my audience, create and provide value for people. So I'm very proud of all of the different content pieces that I end up putting out. Obviously, certain times of the year are a lot more intense than others. The Farmers Insurance Open Week is I'm prepared for it. It's a very intense week. It's about 8 or 9 days straight. I'm up at 4, going to bed at 10 or 11, and it's just, it's very draining, but
Wow.
I know it's coming, and I love that week, and it's very rewarding and very productive for me from a career standpoint. And then pretty much on a regular basis, I have my brand partnerships that I do stuff for them on a monthly basis. So I can plan that out. I've
Hmm.
recently, well, I want to say probably within the last year, I've gotten busy enough and have a high enough workload that I've been able to hire and work with a photographer and videographer. His name is Marcus, and that's been a massive help, because we'll schedule content days. I'll have all the stuff I need to shoot, send them the shot list, where we're doing it, outfit changes, and we just knock out a ton of content that I need to shoot in a very efficient way. So that's really
Hmm.
great. And then, yeah, things pop up randomly on a golf course where I am just out playing, or I'm with friends and we can create some content together. So that's great. I have my lesson content, which is how this whole thing started, and wanting to document a beginner golfer journey, which is still very much the central point of my content strategy. And yeah, I get to work with some amazing brands on a monthly basis. Some are longer partnerships, some are shorter ones. But no matter what, ultimately it comes back to wanting to provide creative, relevant, interesting, fun, value added content. So that's kind
You
of
couldn't
my
have,
mission on a daily basis.
and you couldn't have picked a better time to document yourself and that process and what it's like, because there are thousands of people after, like, what golf has gone through the pandemic and the growth of the sport. I'm sure they're looking at your page with like, oh wow, it's possible, like someone who's not good at golf can get good at golf. And it's not, so it's creating that relatability factor through your page. Because, and also golf is so, maybe speak on this, like how it's so intimidating. You were lucky because your partner, boyfriend, played, so you kind of had like an intro into it. But I wonder how many people are trying to play through that, through the growth of it all, and like they're like, I don't even know how to go pick up a set of golf clubs. I have no idea how to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And I can completely understand that. And I was very fortunate to have somebody sort of holding my hand at least to get started. But one thing I've seen pop up more and more, and this is kind of more central to women, are these big like women's golf groups or women's golf meetups. And I think that those are amazing. I know the one that comes to mind just quickly is Babes Golf. I know Alex originally was living in San Diego. I think she has since moved out to like Scottsdale area, but she's done a tremendous job of creating this space for women with, and finding like creating clinics and having coaches come in and teach and just sort of building this women's golf community. And I think more and more I've seen more of those popping up all around. I think that's great. I think what the range that Stadium Golf, where I'd first started by doing those small group classes, I thought that was, and that was 4 or 5 years ago. I thought that was really smart. And the group was made up of men, women, people of like different age groups, different skill levels. So, I
Yeah,
mean, that was great. I felt they did a good job creating, again, kind of this space where it wasn't intimidating and you could go every day and they had morning and night classes. They taught you everything. Like I learned so much in a very short period of time. And the instructors, they had different instructors. They were all great. And they weren't teaching you conflicting things. And it was just very, I don't know, it was just a great introduction to the game. So
yeah,
I, I mean, if you can definitely seek out, if you really are serious about wanting to get involved in the game of golf, I feel like there's a lot less barriers to entry today than maybe
yeah.
even
But
4 or 5 years ago.
yeah, I would say also, my friend, you are like, you just have this nature about yourself. There's almost like a fearlessness in you. I don't know if that's always been there or that's a new part of your personality, but um, I just gotta say, for anyone listening, especially the women, and not saying just women, but everyone who's starting to play golf, you shouldn't be. Please don't be intimidated to come join the community. I know that I share your reservation or hesitation in a lot of hobbies I've taken up in my adult life. It's not just golf. Everything has like this. I guess it's a fear factor. It's like, because
Yeah.
anything, we're always going to suck at something new. And I
Yeah.
think I spoke on this the other day. It's like almost you got to embrace the suck and have fun with it, and you're not going to suck forever.
Right.
And but it is hard, and like, I think people are probably listening to you and they're like, yeah, of course Alissa has no problem doing it because she's fearless and she's popular and she has all these people liking her. It's like, well, it wasn't always like that. We all start somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's situational now at this point if I get really nervous. Obviously some things I don't get as nervous for anymore, but something that comes to mind was last May I was doing some work with the George Lopez charity golf event at Lakeside, and we had a call a few days before the event with the woman Linda who runs it, and she's like, "We're going to have you hit the ceremonial tee shot." And I was like, "What?" Like I'm good with the microphone interviewing people. Like that's really my
Yeah.
wheelhouse. Obviously, I love to do the golf part too, but it's golfing and golf skill isn't my strongest suit. It's not like that's where I feel my most confident. Depends on the day. But I was like, okay, great. And I was like, that's awesome. And I like, we got off the call and I was literally like, oh my God, driver's my toughest club. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you even say the word driver around me and I get like that. So for the next 3 days, I just was practicing. I was trying to like distract myself, hitting driver, like getting myself all amped up and tense, like on the tee box when I was out practicing. And then we get to the event. We're doing the getting ready to do the tee shot, and I'm obviously very nervous. There were cameras lined up on either side of me. There were tons of people around, and then it gets better. I'm going to be hitting the ceremonial tee shot with legend Lee Trevino, and I'm like,
Oh my gosh, it's
oh
great.
my God, no, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, well, this is happening, so just make sure you breathe. And they do the announcement, ceremonial tee shot, and I step up and I'm like, oh please, just hit it in the air. It's okay, get it in the air and going forward. And so I hit it and I hit a really good drive and I was really happy. It went in the air, it went straight down the fairway in front of all the cameras. I didn't hit anybody and I didn't kill anybody. And then Lee Trevino hit after me and he ended up wanting to use my driver. So my brand PXG, who I work with, was thrilled, and it was great content. And it's some of
Yeah.
my most
Wow.
viewed content on my Instagram, hitting a ceremonial tee shot with Lee Trevino. So
God, I
pretty
bet you
cool.
that moment of exhale after it's like, okay, it went so good. Phew.
Yeah,
After you hit
honestly,
it.
yes. I was like, okay, I don't care what happens the rest of the day. I don't care how I play on this course right now. And I played that day with Sugar Ray Leonard. So that was obviously incredible too. But after that moment, I was like, okay, I can now breathe and all
Yeah.
is fine.
How great is Lakeside, by the way? Quick shout out to Lakeside. That's a
Yeah, it
great
was
track.
so fun. First of all, George Lopez puts on a great event. It was 5 star. The welcome party, the golf event, like it was really fun. One of my most fun outside, like I don't want to say informal, but like not PGA Tour, LPGA Tour events. Like it's
Hmm.
probably one of the most fun events I've ever been to. So they do a great job.
So before we wrap up, because I've got a few more questions, if you don't mind, and we're gonna do almost like a little recap here. Alissa, first of all, I got to thank you again for taking the time because you are such a beautiful spirit soul in the world, and
Thank
your
you.
nature and just how you show up for yourself and everyone, it's so welcoming. And like you said, you really are how you are in real life as you portray yourself on social media, which is not the case for a lot of people. I'll just say that because usually, not to get on my soapbox and do my tangent here, but social media. And I'm going to for a second. I'm eating my own words. Social media is just a very I don't want to say dangerous, but it can be a toxic environment because for people that don't know, it's a place for that a lot of people showcase their best selves and their brands and they're being sold to. You, my friend, are just you use it in such a beautiful way, and I just got to say that. So thank you for
Thank
that.
you. Thank
Um,
you. Really appreciate that.
you've absolutely, and I do mean that. And I think a lot of people in the golf community do a great job of it. I won't say everybody, but I think a lot of the golf community is a real like no phony, no BS kind of environment where other industries I've worked in or consulted for are. I'm just going to put that one over there. But I will say this though, like when you to recap your little bit of your story right now, and I don't want to say all of it, but to go from a collegiate athlete with that tenacity, that competitive nature, into the classroom, teaching the youth, also great profession, to then moving cross country, not just like to another state or city, just cross country, following love in a relationship, no career path, not knowing what you're going to do, to pick up a golf club, look at the magic that one golf club and that community and what's happened. That's an amazing inspirational story in itself. I don't want to take anything away from that. I would say on top of that, look at what golf is doing for your career now and your life now and the relationships you have now. It's a beautiful blossom, if you will. What Here's the question: what could you? I'm not sure. I don't know of everything you're doing currently to give back to the community, aside from your personality and how welcoming you are to new athletes to the sport. But if you could do something now, what magic would you continue to give back to golf?
Well, because I have that background of being a teacher, I love any opportunity that I get to do things in golf with youth. I'm very lucky. The Farmers Insurance Open and Century Club, their big emphasis and give back has to do with serving and helping underprivileged youth here in San Diego. And they do a lot of work with the First Tee and Pro Kids. So any opportunity I get to do anything with the kids, especially with golf, is really fun for me. And that would really be my focus if I was going to think of an area that I would like to give back when it comes to the game of golf.
Speaking of youth golf, and I'd love to enroll you in this. Mully is actually my business for like Toms or like Samba socks. Like for every when you buy one, you donate one. So
Yeah.
currently, we've taken on a project where every time there's a transaction on in our marketplace on Mully, we're donating a sleeve of golf balls to kids. So we're currently working with the SCGA, where I grew up playing golf, so they're helping distribute some golf balls. But if you have any connections in youth golf and want to help us donate these sleeves of golf balls to kids, we'd love for you to be a part of that and help us out in any way of just distributing the balls.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. We can talk offline about how we can get something done there. I would
Perfect.
really, yeah, I would love to be a part of
Perfect.
that for sure.
Appreciate that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I guess in my two closing questions, one, when I grew up golfing, I know golf is only like a few years old for you, so I'm smiling because for me, I grew up practicing summer nights, like just hours on end, like 5 foot, 4 foot, 3 foot putts, and it was always to win the Masters. It was like the green jacket moment when I was on the putting green. And I would just sit over the putt and like, this is to win the Masters. And like, obviously you fast forward, 30 some odd years or 20 some odd years. And unfortunately, I'm not going to win the Masters. It's a reality that I've had to come with too. And I'm going to cry later, but not now. What is if you had a 3 foot putt to win the Masters right now as an adult, what is that, the proverbial, what is the Masters for you? What are you working towards? What is the big next goal in your life?
Oh gosh. So I've kind of been in this moment of enjoying reaching some of my golf goals. So very recently, I had found a journal and I had written down a list of goals, just a random day in 2020. And top goal on the list was to break 80. And then shortly after that, either two or three, was to grow my audience on social media to a certain number. And within days, within days of both happened just recently. So one happened on a Friday, I broke 80, and
Wow.
then 2 days later, 3 days later, I got my Instagram account to over 100,000 followers. And I've just been in this kind of moment or mode of enjoying accomplishing those two goals just days apart, which is kind of surreal to me. So immediately, I would like to break 80 again very soon. I don't want it to feel like I just did it. It was like a one off and like it was just the golf god shone down on me that day and gave me that olive branch. I want it to now be more consistent. Like I don't necessarily need to do it every time, but I would like to work to that point. But I'd like to break 80 again soon. So that way it's like that means my game is trending in the right direction. Right now my handicap is like a 10.4, something like that. So I was just talking with my coach about it yesterday, and he's like, if we could get it to an 8 and maintain it, that means you're consistently breaking 80. So I do like to have those quantifiable goals with numbers so I know that I'm
Hmm.
achieving them. But again, like I was saying earlier, I don't like to put a ton of pressure on myself around it or be too focused on it because then it takes the joy out of what I'm doing.
Hmm.
So those would
Totally.
probably be my immediate golf goals.
That's not too shabby, girl. I mean, there's a lot of guys, girls, people, friends out there that are probably just like, "Ugh, I want to do that too." It's not. It's so hard to
Yeah.
break. I think 100 when you start golf, let alone 90, let alone 80. So you've come such a long way, my friend. That's it's quite an accomplishment, and I'm not surprised because that athlete, the competitor in you, to be a collegiate athlete and then to break 80 seems on par. Seems one
Well,
for one.
thank you. I appreciate that. Like I said, there were some days where I was like, I feel like I'm never going to break 80. So to have finally done it feels really good. And I'm just trying to stay in that mode of just patting myself on the back and saying good job for getting it done, but then, not just resting on that and wanting to keep improving. And that's why I was excited to get back with my coach yesterday. I went out and played 9 holes. Hadn't played in like 2 weeks. For me, that's a long time to not be picking up a
Yeah.
golf club. And I'm also not that good to take that much time off. So the first couple holes were a bit rough, but then we finished strong. We finished
So
strong on like
how often do you practice? And because like you seem very busy too. Like how often do you find time to practice, to get lessons, and then play? I'm just personally curious because as an adult, I can't find any time to practice. I actually practiced the other day for the first time, and I still can't like feel my back.
yeah. Yeah, I hear that. I don't get to practice nearly as often as I would like. I probably can get, again, depends on my schedule because pretty much every month is different. But I try to get to a lesson at least once a month. And
Hmm.
pretty much I have to make the hard choice. It's either play or practice. So I feel like I play a lot more than I practice. And again, the amount I get to play depends solely on my schedule, which kind of changes on a week to week basis. So
Hmm.
it just depends, but I don't practice near as I used to be able to practice every day. I think that's what helped me up front get like make a lot of progress really fast. Then I felt like last year I almost went through a period of just kind of being stagnant or plateauing. But it's a catch 22, right? Because that means I'm working more and that means I'm being high like, doing more events and whatnot. So I got no complaints.
But
I'm
it
having a good time.
sounds. It seems like you love the events, though. It sounds to leave your mark on that space and to leave your energy. Like you bring a lot of energy into it. So that's got to be. It doesn't seem like work to you half the time.
Right. It's really fun. Really fun. I enjoy it very much. I'm like at this point in my life where if I'm not having fun doing something or my answer isn't like hell yeah, then it's pretty much a no.
Yeah,
So that's
there you
just kind
go.
of the
There
way
you
I've been
go.
approaching things as of like late, where if I have any resistance or I'm not like super excited about doing it, then I feel like that's me telling myself probably shouldn't. So
Exactly.
I guess that
Exactly.
stuff comes with age, that like wisdom, intuition.
Girl, my friend, I think I'm still trying to get that, and yeah, I'm still trying to
Yeah,
learn a lot of valuable lessons with my age, but
yeah.
leaning into the process, which is a whole other conversation.
There you go. That's
Um,
probably the big you just start. Probably the biggest
exactly.
challenge.
Exactly. So final question that I promise to let you go. I've kept you on here for over 45 minutes and I apologize, but a lot of good stuff and a lot of great takeaways for the listeners. Um, Direct question would be when you take that moment to think, what does the sport mean to you? And if you just had to like thank your camp of people as some thank yous for people that may be listening, may not be listening, or may listen at some point in time, who would they be? Because I know how I found the game and how a lot of my close friends have found the game. It's important. It's important to me, and I definitely want to thank those people ongoing. So, girl, you have the mic. Go
All right.
for it, and yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to start from the beginning. So, Stadium Golf and the staff there and the people, the first coaches that I interacted with, they helped me facilitate this love and where I'm at now. So, I appreciate them at Stadium Golf in San Diego. My coach, Mike Maggs in the Southern California Golf Academy, he found me on Instagram and wanted to coach me. And that's been a great partnership for us. Um, Century Club of San Diego for giving me that first opportunity to break into the golf media space and trusting me as their voice to promote the Farmers Insurance Open. And well, very new, my agency, appreciate them, Digital Golf Collective. And I've saved the best for last. I wouldn't be able to do what I do on a daily basis without him, which would be my boyfriend. So incredibly grateful for all of the people who have been instrumental in getting me to where I am today.
Alyssa, I'm so happy we had this conversation. I'm sure we'll do many more in the future. I just again want to thank you. Your story of success, of being bold, of just taking that leap. I speak for a lot of people when I say thank you because sometimes all it takes is hearing someone do it, and whether succeed or not, whether you experience success or not, sometimes it's just nice to know a fellow person and their story of taking that jump. So it's nice to hear your story. Thank you for your love story with golf, what it means to you, the people that surround yourself with the sport. Keep doing you and keep shining your light and your energy on all of us because I, for one, really appreciate it. So thank you very much. And I cannot wait to do this again soon.
Well, thank you for having me. It was such a great chat, and I really appreciate all the kind words. So thank you.
Bye, girl.